Good morning, folks. It's Lindsey Huddleston back in the building with another SPS Monday Motivation. That's right, it's Monday. We're going to get up and get it going this week. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. I sure did. And I guess any weekend that we can talk about is a good weekend. And it was a weekend of football. But today's Monday Motivation is not a football story. We're talking about the Dante Moore leadership lesson. That's right, Dante Moore leadership lesson. If you're not familiar with what's been happening with prep sports, not only throughout the country, but particularly in Detroit, Michigan, Dante Moore is Detroit Kings quarterback, senior quarterback, and he's committed to Oregon. He's going to be a Duck, no doubt. And he is ranked by Sports Illustrated as the number one recruit in the country. Oregon QB commit Dante Moore named number one recruit in the country by SI All-American. He is that deal. But again, this is not a football story. Who do we have this morning? Got my brother Frank Jackson the fourth. Good morning, good brother. How you doing? Glad you can join us this morning, man. Got something to share. This is a Dante Moore leadership lesson. Frank, you've always done good with being able to have broad conversations, especially as it relates to influencing people and going forward. So I want you to sit back and take this in right here. We're talking about this Dante Moore leadership lesson. And for those who may be joining saying, Lindsey, I'm not really into football like that, and it's not that kind of thing. This is not a football story. But I will talk about Dante, give him his flowers. This young man, the last 12 months, Sports Illustrated has reported, has been the apex of Moore's experience. He has led King to a state championship, and the SPS was happy to be in the building to experience that in last December, and while putting up remarkable numbers along the way. And what we mean by remarkable numbers in the football world, as a junior, he threw for 3,044 yards and 40 touchdowns against just 3 interceptions while completing 70% of his pass attempts. Sound like that young man is going places, no doubt. But what really has stood out to me and what is the basis of this Dante Moore leadership lesson is this image. This image is taken from video that I was able to capture Dante Moore on Friday night after they were successful over the River Rouge Panthers. Shout out to the River Rouge Public Schools. Shout out to my guy Derek Coleman, the superintendent, Dr. Coleman, that is there, and giving support to SPS to be able to support the River Rouge Panthers versus King as the SPS game of the week on the road to Ford Field. Now, he gave some motivational and inspiring words to these young men from River Rouge, talking about we grew up, we've been doing this since 9 years old, and it was very inspiring. And as of press time right now, it has about close to 5,000 views on the internet, referring to Twitter. If you want to go to H Solutions 1, you can see that on there. So why am I talking about this? Because we're talking about leadership. And what's important for you to know that while he's done a great job and this is the final result, all those young men got together and took a picture, and the picture is worth 1,000 words. River Rouge Panthers aren't too happy, but he stood there and he talked to them. He inspired those young men and said great things to those young men after the game. He said something to the former effect. He said, if you're going to go to college and be the best you can be. So let's talk about leadership. Napoleon Bonaparte, you can say what you want about him, but in his conquest of his role as Emperor of France, yet he was one of the most outstanding leaders in the early 19th century. He understood motivation. There's a link between motivation. The link between leadership and motivation is very well known. In the U.S. military, we study motivation and how it makes differences in carrying out our duties. Compliments are a part of our duties. See, Dante Moore is not afraid to share his shine. Question to you as a leader, can you share your shine? Or what's more important, some of you may say, well, Lindsey, he's a college-bound athlete. He's going on to a great program like University of Oregon, probably going to get an opportunity to play at the next level, which we wouldn't be surprised when we talk about his numbers and his ability. But what I want to talk to you about, guys, on this morning is it wasn't always like that for Dante. We talk about his junior year. Well, let me take you back. SBS was in the building, no doubt, a year ago. This is November 2021. Post-game, they had just won the first round of playoffs versus Allen Park. I'm interviewing the star quarterback at this point. And this visual you have with his head down, hoodie over his head, and not really being engaged was the entire interview. And Dante would agree with that. I brought that to his attention just recently when I said, man, you've been doing a whole lot. And along the way, He been sharing his shine with his fellow teammates, making sure they do things. It was even against the victory versus Cavs. When the game was over, he pulled 4 of his teammates into the interview to make sure they got pictures. So what I'm trying to tell you is this is not a young man who's manipulating the system. This is a young man who no doubt went from dull to dynamic within a year. I say that with all due respect. And he talked about that. He acknowledged that. So what I'm telling you as a leader, that you can go from dull to dynamic in a year too. Here we are approaching November, one day from November, going into 2023 in a very short amount of time. And you, as a leader, can take on the Dante Moore leadership lesson. Give compliments freely and generously. Can you do that? Can you give those compliments generously and freely? My brother Aaron Mayes comes on and says Dante Moore maturation has been outstanding, beyond measure. He will be great in life. I totally agree, Aaron. I appreciate you, brother. Maturation is a great word. And I think this is why this is not just a football story, because we all can mature. What can you be a year from now? How can your leadership skills change? And we can learn, as they say, from the children going forward. Man, he had nothing but compliments on social media. All you see is things like what leaders do. Leadership, a true leader. And this one that really stuck with me, Coach Pop said, a phenomenal leader. The platform he has created for himself is one that would have him influencing lives positively for many years. Infinitely proud of this young man, and says peace. What I'm trying to just tell you guys is that you don't have to be the #1 recruit in the nation. You don't have to be on your way to defend your state championship in high school football. You don't have to be on your way to Oregon at quarterback factory that can set you up for NFL success. You don't have to be Dante Moore to take on Dante Moore's leadership lesson. Can you motivate others by sharing compliments? Can you share your shine? Can you take, your big moments instead of you just being the one in the picture, bring your brothers along? Shout out to Red on the very end. He said, that's me on the end, Red. Red had a tough night. The brothers had a tough night. But he was there encouraging these guys. And don't let that image look as if he was trying to mock them. He was saying, we've been together since 9 years old. And despite, you losing right now, you can still go on and be great. And this is a teenager talking. I know there's a lot of talk about what's happening in football right now. We just saw the tunnel trouble. We'll talk about that more on Thursday's SPSEdge show. But I'm just saying right here, here's a lesson we can learn. It's a simple lesson. It's a lesson in humility. Can you be willing to share the shine you get? Because to be honest, in my view, the shine ain't really yours to begin with. The accolades that you get, they're just there until the next person is the time to get theirs. You don't keep those forever. Because I tell you, as my good friend Donald Davenport, my brother says, one oh shit will take away a whole lot of attaboys. Yeah, I had to be vulgar and say that, but my point being is the shine ain't yours forever. We can see how people can be on top today and down tomorrow. I don't even have to give any examples. But what I'm trying to get you guys to understand this morning is take a lesson from Dante Moore's leadership. You can share the shine, whether you're the manager at the job and you want to give somebody praise and accolades, because compliments go a long way. Now, I made a reference to Napoleon Bonaparte. If that didn't really move you, let me see if I can get somebody else you can rock with. Let's see here. If Napoleon is not your thing, how about this? Mother Teresa. There's more hunger for love and appreciation in the world than for bread. Oh my. There's more hunger for love and appreciation in the world than for bread. Mother Teresa. So as you sit back in this role as a leader, and whether you are named as a leader or you take on a leadership role, what you can do for others to help motivate them is to acknowledge them. It doesn't take anything from you to let that person have that acknowledgement. I know how it is sometimes. You know how it is. You got them leaders, don't want to let nobody get no shine, don't want to let nobody get no accolades. That builds animosity, because as adults, we're supposed to, just take it and be okay with it. But at the end of the day, like, dang, man, okay. But let's do the reverse. When you turn around and say, hey, I just want to give one more acknowledgement. Frank Jackson IV did an excellent job when he read that piece to the group the other day. I just want to acknowledge that. I was moved by it, and I just want to put that out there. It doesn't hurt. And people may say, oh, man, they don't want to believe that your intent is true. It doesn't matter. But take a lesson from a young man who's going places. You can share the shine. You can share compliments. Compliments are powerful. If you don't have it in you to give a compliment, you probably have to work on yourself. If you don't have it in you to say, hey, man, that's nice right there, You got to work on yourself. And the work is understandable. You may say, Lindsay, you're right, I do have to work on that because as I said, that young man went in 1 year, his persona went from dull to dynamic. And you can do the same thing. I won't keep you guys too much on this Monday motivation. I wanted to share that story, that experience. Outstanding young man. We can learn a lot from him. Share some compliments. That can help motivate people more than you know. And people believe the compliments, and the compliments have more of an impact on people than going off on somebody. The compliments are more lasting than criticizing someone. Everyone loves a good compliment. You got to keep that in mind. With that being said, I thank you guys for supporting SPS. We got some more great things coming soon. Look for some more interesting things taking place over at River Rouge. We're getting ready to go into other sports for some, but we continue the SPS road to Ford Field with the games of the week coming up in the next few weeks, and I'll be there at Ford Field for the championship. So with that, thank you for your support. You guys have a great day, have a great week, have a great month, have a great year, have a great life. Peace out.